that's what you get. Dr. Marjorie Dixon, everyone. She's here. She's here in full effect. We want to talk about a topic that has been very close to your and my heart.
Yeah.
Breastfeeding. Literally. Breastfeeding. You know, so many of our audience members right now have babies.
I know. I saw the babies out today. I thought, how appropriate.
It really does work for today. And I was talking to some of them about, you know, nursing, because it can be a bit challenging. So let's talk a little bit about the basics of nursing, and then
and why it's so important.
Why it's so important.
Yeah. So. The World Health Organization, the Canadian Pediatric Society, Health Canada, everybody encourages, because of the evidence, that breastfed babies do better. And there are benefits not just for the breastfed babies, but there are also benefits for the moms doing the breastfeeding, or the breast pumping.
Yeah.
But mainly, it encourages moms to breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months of the child's life, and then also add in breastfeeding until 2 years of age.
Okay.
So it's a fairly long time, and actually what happens is, while most mothers have good intentions and want to start, 84% of women actually start breastfeeding and attempt to get to the 6-month mark, but by the 6-month mark, only 23% are still nursing.
Yeah, because a lot of different things can happen. Sometimes people say their breast milk goes down, sometimes it's too much, sometimes you know, they're dealing with cracked nipples and all of these things that make the whole process difficult.
Yeah, so you know, having been a healthcare professional and a doctor in training and delivering babies and rounding on women the next morning, the morning after, and people being like, can you help? Please? Like,
anything.
How do I do this? And sometimes milk would be coming in, and we'd be like, bring the baby to the breast and find a lactation consultant. So we knew that there are experts in breastfeeding that are available to moms, and a lot of women don't know this. That breastfeeding, while there are all these reflexes for babies, knowing how to, the rooting reflex, and you tickle a cheek and it goes towards the side, like you learn these things, but breastfeeding, the technique for each baby and each mom is an individual thing, and you have to learn from the right people, or else you will encounter those problems and not be able to nurse the way that you'd like to, ideally.
Yes.
So when women, if this is a great opportunity for women to understand that though breastfeeding is encouraged and it's a natural thing, you really have to tap into the people around you, the lactation consultants, your midwives. Sometimes midwives will go to the home. I, as I said, healthcare professional, knew all about it. I actually had a health nurse come to my house.
Yes.
Because I had so much pain with nursing my second child. So I had already been a professional nurser. I nursed for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I breast pumped because I went back to work after 5 weeks. The second baby, my first child opened wide, like, wanted.
Give me more.
My second baby, Michaela, was like, and and the areola, you know, the breast, we've talked about the changes. It's about this big, the bullseye, and the kid's mouth was this big open.
Yeah.
So you
look at your boob and you look at their head, and you're just like, this isn't going to work.
This isn't going to work. But
your boob is bigger than their head.
Exactly. There are ways of learning how to do it properly, and that whole areola is supposed to go into the mouth, and the nipple goes to the back of the baby's throat.
That's right. When they draw the picture and they show you, it's incredible.
Yes.
I went to a lactation consultant as well.
Wasn't it the best thing?
The best. And my midwives, and they just take that baby and they pop that baby on your breast. You're like, whoa!
That's what she said to me. She goes, don't bring your boob to the baby. Bring the baby to the boob.
Yes. You sort of feel like, I am woman, hear me roar.
Right?
But with that said, also, don't be judgmental if a woman is having trouble doing it and having problems, because sometimes the baby has something, what is that called?
Tongue-tied,
They're tongue-tied and they can't latch properly.
Exactly.
There can be all sorts of things, or you don't have enough milk production.
Exactly. So most of the time, it's a cycle, right? So if the baby isn't latching properly and you don't have anybody guiding you through the proper technique for the nursing, then you're not going to make as much milk, because it's a supply and demand thing. The more you nurse, the more milk you make. And so that's how the breast pumping came into it for me, as I knew I was having to go back to work, because I have a business in my office. I had to go back. So after 5 weeks, me and my pump were one, because I would nurse on one side, put the baby down, I would pump in between, and you develop a system to keep your milk production up so that you can actually do that.
Well, let's talk about the pump a little bit. CityLine, in conjunction with Medela, asked our viewers to send in their questions about breastfeeding. So let's get to a few right here. How long and how can I store breast milk before it goes bad?
Okay, so you can store it in 2 places. You can store it in the fridge. That's for up to 72 hours.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to store it in a freezer, which is when you have the production going, you can keep it for up to 6 months.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit longer, but mainly 6 months is the answer.
I'm sure your freezer was like a breast milk factory.
It was a production facility.
It was amazing.
We had the older milk in the front, the newer milk to the back.
Yeah.
I had it all going, and my nanny, my partner, everybody could help also in the process of nursing.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes women have guilt. We feel guilty about everything that we can't do for our children.
Totally.
And having to go back to work, I had incredible amounts of guilt.
Yeah.
But knowing that I was able to still give to my child the breast milk that I was making was invaluable to me.
It felt so good to just write the little thing, because the Medela bags, you write, I did 5 ounces today. You feel like a superhero, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you talked a little bit about increasing and decreasing the milk supply. So how do I know if I'm producing enough milk and your baby's getting enough milk?
Okay, so you can tell how much the baby's taking in by what's coming out of the baby, right?
Okay.
So you look at what you expect in as much as wet diapers and dirty diapers. So you should have between 6 and 8 wet diapers per day in a well-fed baby, and 3 to 4 dirty diapers per day.
Got it.
Right, and then you have all of those other objective measures where you go to the pediatricians and the baby is weighed and they do the head circumference and the length. So if your child is hitting all of the milestones in as much as growth, then you're sure that the baby is feeding well.